In this episode of Travelogue, we head off to Tianjin, a bustling metropolis in northeastern China. Steer away from the beaten trail and get a taste of the culture and performing arts as we search for the best in local delights. Satisfy your taste buds with some delectable local treats, from sweet to savory, and feast on the catch of the day. Come along to Tianjin and live well.
It's a new day in Tianjin, and you know how they say the early bird always gets the worm? Well, it's early, and I'm at one of the largest bird and flower markets all across China, and ready to get in on the action of local Tianjin life. I'm Michelle Lee. Welcome to Travelogue.
In order to get a feel of the local way of life, I decided to steer away from the tourist trail to get a taste of Tianjin culture and perhaps gain a pointer or two in the art of haggling, Chinese style.
What do you think this looks like? It's like this little empty plastic jar, right? It's got holes at the top. So you think it's probably used for like toothpicks or something, but it isn't. I'll show you what it is later.
I came to this market expecting to browse through an array of goods and find a local shopping experience. But instead, I discover a little piece of history.
I do. Oh, you're cute. I can make a goldfish face too. Watch. Did you hear that sound? What is it? Listen. Come. I'll show you. This is one of the traditional Chinese hobbies, right? Look. Watch. Hello, buddy. Come here. Oh. Yeah.
Keeping crickets alive through the winter is an old hobby that's been preserved for thousands of years in northern China.
There you go. Do you know the thing that I was showing you earlier with the plastic, the cases? These things? This is what it's for. They're little companions in a little plastic cage. Little holes.
几锤？
有两个是吗？
I've read that 2,000 years ago, Chinese imperial concubines used to put crickets in a golden cage by their pillows during the autumn and winter months just to hear them sing the songs that reflected their own loneliness. Later, it became a sport as crickets were raised as fighters to compete. The sport's popularity continues to this day, and those that are raised as fighters are even fed a special diet of ginseng. They may be spoiled for insects that only live 150 days or so, but good specimens can cost thousands of dollars and earn their owners even more. Many of the bridges here are architectural beauties, all built in different styles. This one here is definitely one of my favorites.
I'm trying to keep warm. It's so cold, right? And these guys, there's not one, not two, but there's a couple of them out there swimming. It's amazing. I mean, seriously. I didn't freeze to them.
more than just a place to swim, this river is the Haihe, the mother river of Tianjin, which flows into the Bohai Sea. Though too small to be a transport artery now, the river is an added attraction in the city. Don't worry, buddy, I'd be worried about taking a plunge too. You can do it. Yay! The locals are real good sports, and even when it's icy out, they remain warm and inviting. French churches and European architecture are part of the landscape in Tianjin City. It's not a common sight in most parts of China, but to the Tianjin people, it's a backdrop to their daily lives.
When you're in the city center, you may not get the feeling that Tianjin is a port city, but take a walk on any of the amazing bridges across the Haihe River, which is the mother river of Tianjin, and I'll guarantee you'll feel differently about it.
Now there's a little magic in the area. Built from over 400 million porcelain pieces collected over 2 decades, the owner, businessman Zhang Lianzhi, has spent over 5 years and $65 million on this porcelain museum.
This music box is so beautiful. Can you believe it's about 200 years old? And it used to belong to the owner's mother, but it's also part of his private collection, which he houses in his museum. And I love it. I just think it represents everything that Tianjin is about. You know, you see this European music box, and inside, you look carefully, you see these Chinese characters. And I feel that's what Tianjin is, a perfect mix of Western and Chinese. It's so cool.
The China House is a real beauty. Some people say that it's almost a waste of good porcelain, but the owner is a man who treasures and appreciates his antiques. He believes that porcelain culture is a splendid and time-honored treasure in Chinese arts and celebrates the art form with the China House, turning it into a cultural symbol of China. Tianjin has a special appreciation for porcelain wares. This is due in part to events that occurred in the Qing dynasty over 100 years ago. Back then, an agency was established in Tianjin responsible for examining and repackaging the Chinaware for ongoing transport to the Forbidden City. Damaged pieces were secretly buried, but many valuable pieces of china were circulated. Since then, porcelain has been very popular in this city.
This may be a restaurant, but it's not quite that straightforward. You see, the name directly translated from Chinese is the Edible Museum, and there's a good reason for that. You see, spread across the entire place are antiques collected by the owner over many, many, many years. And the best thing about it is that it's housed in what used to be the residence of a famous Beijing opera star. This room, for example, used to be his study, so you'll see his memorabilia spread across the walls. I'm not feeling particularly hungry, but no, it's worth coming just to take a look.
Driving back to the hotel, I realized that as much as I love the arts, I've still yet to discover much of Chinese arts and culture. So far, Tianjin has been an eye-opener, but I've just dabbled a little. There'll be more, but not tonight. Playing a traditional Chinese instrument is an art form that has been linked to nobility, elegance, and education. At the imperial court, Chinese instruments were played collectively in large orchestras. but in tea houses and public gatherings, they would be played in smaller ensembles. As if playing the instrument wasn't a challenge enough, the music was generally memorized by the musicians beforehand and then played without aid. Can you imagine the accuracy and teamwork involved? Nowadays, music scores are used and performances can be enjoyed at a range of places, even at a lunch show. The art of singing folk ballads based on poems is no longer common in the Western world, but in many parts of China, it's still quite lively. Two better-known styles are Pingtan from Xuzhou in Jiangsu province and Dagu from right here in Tianjin. I decided to take a trip out of the city center a mere 15 kilometers away to a little village called Yangliuqing, best known for its folk paintings. Walking around this quiet village, I'm surprised to find this large courtyard home and decide to find out a little more. Once home to the Xu family, this beautiful mansion was considered one of Tianjin's 8 grand mansions at the end of the Qing dynasty. From a long history of grandeur and wealth, it's now a museum that showcases the rich history of the family. While some people visit for a glimpse of its opulent past, it's the architecture and minor details of this courtyard mansion that draw me. The Xu family mansion is known for its design, its architecture, and its stone carvings that remain in pristine condition to this day. Take note of that lotus, though. There's a pretty great story in this detail that I nearly missed walking past.
See, it's little details like that that make the Xu family courtyard so special. It's that in the first gate, you have a closed bud. And in the second gate, which is this, you see the bud is slightly more open. And that is to help signify longevity and happiness and growth. So cool. And here's the third gate. You see, notice that? Here's where it's a little bit more special. You see, it's kind of bloomed out and there's a little pod with seeds in it to signify childbearing. So, a lot of babies coming out of here.
I first learned about New Year woodblock prints when I visited a small town in Kaifeng. Since then, I feel as if I've seen them in the most obscure places. And when I least expect, they appear as a reminder of my first trip with Travelogue.
就是我现在都50多岁了，对自己的作品，并不是说完全的满意，有很多的都需要再进一步的去探求，去摸索。
While this household decoration was popular until the mid-20th century, it's no longer a common sight. But not all woodblock paintings are the same. They vary according to the region they're from. I hear that Yangliuqing style is one of the 4 most recognized forms in the country. Instead of just using woodblocks to create these beautiful paintings, an artist will use a woodblock stencil to create the original black and white outline of the pieces before painting in the colors by hand.
Woodblock paintings are famous in a lot of areas in China, but in Yangliuqing, what's really special about it is the fact that instead of printing on the color on the stencil woodblock, what they do is they paint each individual painting by hand. It's really amazing. Like, you look at these paintings and each artist will focus on each painting for a certain period of time just so that she can perfect it. See? There are like all these different copies of the same picture. And it's just so that she can get her skill just right for that painting. And it doesn't take, a short period of time. Like, it takes a certain amount of dedication to be able to get a painting this good.
I'm not sure I would have the patience to do what these artists do, but they told me later that it was important for them to maintain the tradition and culture of this dying art form. I decided to take the train out to Tanggu, the port area of Tianjin. Not many tourists travel to this area, but it's a nice little break from city life and a chance to breathe in some sea air.
In northern China, Tianjin is the largest port city. But that's just statistic. If you really want to get a sense of how important the city was in history and in modern day, all you have to do is really just stand here and watch the people at work. From that, you can really see just how much of a role it plays in China's economy. It's great.
Tianjin's port was once the most important point for travel and trade in China. It's still important to this day, and you'll find many cargo ships and fishing boats in the area. I'm surrounded by fishermen with their catch of the day, and it's no wonder that many Beijing residents come to Tanggu for the seafood, since it's fresher and cheaper than what you'd find at a local market in Beijing. Standing here, I find myself enticed by life at sea. The salty breeze and thoughts of a life spent on board ship, living off the ocean, almost makes me want to give up city life. But maybe not just yet. While China has yet to build its own usable aircraft carrier, located within the aircraft carrier park in Hanggu is an old Soviet carrier bought by a private company to serve as a tourist attraction. The carrier, known as the Kiev, is now a public museum. Take a tour and explore the ship, and if you're traveling with kids, they usually love the experience. I'd heard there was an old liner in the area that's given up her sea legs, but has not quite retired.
Come here. So I found another gray ship, which is, not hard in a port city because you get to see many different styles of ships. But the cool thing about the Orient Princess is that you can stay here. And if you've had bad experience with being seasick, well, you shouldn't have to worry about anything because this boat is constantly docked. And the cool thing about this particular room, right, is that Premier Zhou once stayed here. And not just anyone can stay in this room. You have to be a celebrity of some sort. But I can't quite claim that status, so, oh well. But of course you can stay in a room like this.
The Orient Princess was once one of the most luxurious casino ships in East Asia, but has since been retired to Tanggu. I take a walk around the dock ship, once an entertainment vessel for high rollers and celebrities looking for a slice of adventure. It turns out the 6-story ship has been turned into a hotel, a novelty stay for those nostalgic for the old days. It's quite a journey driving back from Tanggu to the city center after a long day, but at least it's given me some time to reflect on the grandeur I've seen since I arrived. If Shanghai is the coquettish mistress of China and Beijing an old man, Tianjin would be a grand dame, aged but still ever so elegant.
I hear that if you're looking for local snacks and sweets in Tianjin, there's only one place to go, and that's Hepingjie. So we're on the way right now, and I'm just going to get my hands on some goodies. I'm so excited.
Despite its name, the Hepingjie Snack Street is more of an indoor market where rows of shops call out to you. From the more common Chinese snacks to authentic local Tianjin snacks, sweet or savory, it's pretty hard not to find something that'll take your fancy. Spun candy is a traditional Chinese sweet. If the lolly man is any good, he can turn melted sugar into any shape and form. Snacks, snacks, and more snacks. There's a wide variety to choose from, and most of them are well-packaged name brands that are for tourists to bring home.
I've just been out shopping, and okay, here's a tip, right? I just learned that the mahua is especially famous in Tianjin. So if you're looking for something for your family and friends, it's a good idea to get some. It's sort of like a breadstick and a pretzel kind of tied in together. It's really, really good.
It's time to walk off all that food. Besides food, there are a lot of other souvenirs to select. The place to go for that is the ancient cultural street, one of the symbols of Tianjin. Located in the Nankai district, the Tianjin Ancient Cultural Street attracts people for many different reasons. Some come for the architecture and history, while others prefer to spend the day browsing the rows of shops that peddle antiques, local snacks, and traditional handicrafts. Don't worry, I haven't just led you to a tourist trap. Both locals and tourists alike frequent the ancient cultural street. I found a nice array of traditional Chinese handicrafts and shopping items here. Just the place for a little retail therapy.
Let's go shopping. Right, so I hear that these figurines have been made for over 6 generations. You'll see some of the more modern designs and the more traditional ones. For example, come here. These ones here are the more modern designs popular with tourists. Little babies and chickens and zodiac animals, and the ones right behind there, the ladies, the maidens, those are the more traditional designs. Now you see here, you can get different figurines in different price ranges, from the cheaper ones that range from 8 kwai right down to 10, 40, 100 and above.
These clay figurines may look like ordinary decorations found in any household, but the Tianjin variety, known as Zhang clay figurines, or Niren Zhang, was initiated in the Qing dynasty over 180 years ago. While there are many variations, these are the more traditional styles, and if you're looking for one that is handmade, go for the bigger versions. Chances are they will be. I discovered Tianhe Temple in the vicinity of the ancient cultural street. I'm not surprised to find it because the lives of most of the locals revolve around the sea, and they worship Tianhe, the goddess of the sea, in the hope of being blessed by her.
I've been told that the characters on the drum stand for good fortune, health, longevity, and luck. So I've been trying to aim for them, but it's not quite that easy. All right, one last try. I'm aiming for the one in the middle, Fu. All right, let's go. I'll settle for the bottom one.
In the room behind Tianho's main worshipping hall, I find a shrine dedicated to Tianho's parents, where followers are able to continue their worship. Tianjin was once China's main gateway to the outside world. Nowadays, as people increasingly take to the air, sea travel is more of a novelty. But if it's your preferred way of experiencing the world, Chinese people believe that Tianho will bless you and keep you safe.
Over 600 years ago, this was the main street of Tianjin City. And what better way to end our journey of this wonderful city than to go back to the roots of where it all began. Thanks for watching Travelogue. I'm Michelle Lean. I'll see you next time. But in the meantime, keep those bags packed.